Hello, my name is Carmen Payne and I am the owner and creator of SOAR Transformational Life Coaching, and welcome to this episode of Carmen's Coaching Corner. Today's episode is about the 5 agreements. Many of you may be familiar with the book, The 4 Agreements, and then the second book, The 5th Agreement. And I wanted to share these 5 agreements with you, as a refresher, or if you've never heard of them before, just a way to, that's a philosophy and a teaching of the way to live your life. I use them as guidelines, and I use these 5 agreements in so many different facets of my life, but I really felt compelled to share them with you during this week's episode, because around this time of stress and a lot going on, these 5 agreements will really help you to just navigate through all of that stress, give you another tool in your toolkit to just survive the holiday season or any time that you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed out in your life. So about 6 years ago, I was stretched really thin between work commitments and then family commitments. My partner had just moved in with me with his daughter. I had a very high profile project going on. I had a lot of stress and a lot of overwhelm, and I thought I was dealing with everything very well, but it turns out apparently I wasn't. And sometimes you get given something as in your life at the right time, at the right moment, just to kind of help you put things in perspective and just make you realize that you have some more personal development to do. And so my partner gave me the book, The 4 Agreements, and he said to me, here, you need to read this. This will give you some perspective on where you need to put your focus on in your life. And so I read the book, and it's a really easy read. It's about 160 pages. It took me a weekend, and it really did just help me make that shift at that time about 6 years ago about how I was perceiving things, how I was taking things, how I was handling things. And I realized that maybe I wasn't walking around in my life being as graceful as I could be to especially those who mattered to me the most, and especially when I was showing up at work. I just wasn't being the best version of me. So let me start with the first agreement, and I hope that when you hear these that you'll be able to resonate with some of these agreements and implement these agreements in your life. Now, nobody's perfect, and I'm a human being too, so I'm not, saying this is, I consider the 5 agreements a guideline and a gentle reminder of how we can live our lives, and just do the best with them at any given moment in time. And I kind of think of them as yoga. Yoga is a practice, and these 5 agreements are a practice that you can implement in your life. So let's start with the first one, and the first one is be impeccable with your word. And I'm just reading off of my card here, and it says, speak with integrity, say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. So I realized about 6 years ago that I wasn't necessarily speaking with integrity. I did bitch and moan about other people behind their back, especially resources that may have been working on my projects. I was certainly never kind. I never spoke kind words to myself. I was always finding something to critique and something to judge. And so when I read that, it really made me think, okay, how can I change my thought processes around how I feel about myself and how I am feeling and judging towards others? So take a moment to just think about that and where you're doing that in your own life, where you're gossiping about somebody else or where you're being unkind with your words to yourself. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. Now, I had no idea how much I was doing this, how I was taking every word that I heard, especially on my projects, that was negative, and just absorbing it and taking it to heart. And it was causing me a lot of stress and a lot of drama. And what this one is about is this: nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is projection of their own reality, their dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. So take that in and digest that for a moment. Agreement number 3, don't make assumptions. Now, we go around with stories in our heads and we make assumptions about things all the time. It's the way we're wired, right? And our brain will fill in the blanks with assumptions about a situation or a story or another person, and it could be completely wrong. So if you're not clear about something and you find yourself making assumptions, what this agreement suggests is the following. Find the courage to ask questions and express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. I love this agreement because when I was working as a project manager, it really helped me be better about getting clarity from somebody else about what it is they were trying to communicate to me, asking a lot more questions than I possibly would have done previously, and having the courage to do so, even if I was at the risk of maybe pissing that person off, because in their mind, they've given me the same information over and over again, but they've said it in different ways. And I just wanted to be crystal clear, because in projects, you really have to get requirements down very, very accurately, or it could be a very costly mistake in the long run. The 4th agreement, always do your best. Now, as this says, your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are tired as opposed to well rested. Under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. So that's simply stated, it's just in any given moment, just do your best and recognize where you're at mentally and where you're at in your body, and just do your best and go from there. And do it without any judgment. And the fifth agreement was written by, well, actually all these agreements were written by Don Miguel Ruiz, but the fifth agreement was written with, co-authored with his son, Don Jose Ruiz. And this one is, be skeptical, but learn to listen. Isn't that great? And this one says, don't believe yourself or anybody else. Use the power of doubt to question everything you hear. Is it really the truth? Listen to the intent behind the words, and you will understand the real message. So that's basically not just listening with your ears, but listening with everything that you have, right? Just tap into their body language, tap into what they're saying. What is their emotion saying? Is it really the truth? And, ask yourself when you're saying things out loud, am I really speaking the truth here? Is this really true, what I'm saying? Especially when you're coming to things like self-judgment or self-doubt or worry about something. This one really can be very, very powerful agreement. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. So in summary, number 1 is be impeccable with your word. Number 2, don't take anything personally. Number 3, don't make assumptions. Number 4, always do your best. Number 5, be skeptical, but learn to listen. And as I said, they were authored by Don Miguel Ruiz, with the exception of the 5th one, which was co-authored with his son, Don Jose Ruiz. Now, as always, I'd love it if you would leave comments. I will put the 5 agreements in my verbiage with this video. Please leave a comment, please share if you feel like somebody would be helped by these 5 agreements, navigate whatever it is they've got going on in their life. And remember, it's a practice. Just continue to practice them. And what I've done with mine is I have them up on my whiteboard in my office so that I can refer to them, especially when I'm going into anything challenging, like a difficult conversation. I will refer to the 5 agreements up on my whiteboard and then go into whatever activity it is that I'm doing. So as always, in love and light to your transformation, Carmen. To get started, please call or email me or schedule an appointment on my website.